Hello, Guardians. Today is June the 16th, 2023. My name's Danfinity, and welcome to Destiny Digest. It wouldn't be a new episode of Destiny Digest without me telling you that it's a hell of a show, and to thank you guys for your continued support and for listening to the show on your podcast platforms of choice. Please remember, if you want to support the show for free, you can rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. And if you'd like to give a couple bucks a month to help keep the lights on here, head on over to coffee.com/Danfinity. That is ko-fi.com/Danfinity. All support is welcome, and I'm just glad that you guys are here. This week on the show, we have an interview with Revenant, good friend of the show. We talk about builds for this season's GMs, thoughts on this season's GMs, including the PsyOps Moon battleground that'll be coming up here soon in the next few weeks. What weapons you should be looking for in this season's GMs. This week's episode is a very good resource for Season 21, so like and share with a friend, if you will. Getting into the news of this week, Tuesday saw update 7.1.0.2 land in the world of Destiny 2. With this update, they fixed an issue where the dazzling iridescence trials emblem could be awarded without completing the necessary steps. Players will have to earn it again from the flawless chest in order to equip it. The reserve overshield from Gearfalcon's Halberd now triggers with Ensnaring Slam. Kepri's Horn no longer disables non-enemy objects, and Vesper of Radius triggers only on casting Rift now. Double deep sight weapons at Hawthorne have been patched, so you can now only receive one pattern from the O Deep Sight Mine quest every week. Grenades are no longer able to be thrown through Titan barricades. There were also a swath of other changes to Triumphs and Exotic Ingrams and focusing. As always, while we may not get into everything from the blog posts, all the links will be in the notes for the show. This week at Bungie, we saw a recap of the Pride and Trans at Bungie initiatives. This month, they are releasing a new Pride emote for free to all Guardians, the Rainbow Connection. It looks very cool. I kind of wish that it had the NBC, the more you know sound underneath it. While not a missed opportunity, it's something that I'm going to hear in my head every time I see that emote out in the wild. Iron Banner will return next week on June 20th with the mode Eruption. While this week's TWID was a little light in news, we did get a breakdown for some sandbox questions that the Destiny 2 team had asked for on Twitter earlier this month. I've gone through this list and bulleted out certain points for Season 22 changes as well as future changes. There are a couple points here for questions that I'm going to read verbatim because I think that they are very important for how the game operates and how to think about how the game operates from dev side. One of those questions being, how do you determine what gets nerfed and what gets buffed? Do those parameters change season over season? Their answer was, just to comment on the persistent Bungie balances based on usage narrative, this is not the case. But note that if something is wildly overused, in many cases, that's because it's both strong and easy to use. Players typically won't flock to a specific weapon in droves if it's perfectly balanced. When we're deciding what to do for Balance Pass, we look at 5 main sources of information to identify what we ought to look at. Internal feedback from playtesting. Designers have around 10 plus hours of playtests a week. On our own experiences playing the live game, designers typically play the game heavily, and we carve out a little time each week to fireteam up for raids and trials. I know historically, based on seeing the Twitter for different Bungie devs out in the wild, that those typically happen on Fridays. They also look at live feedback sourced from players' weapon usage. So typically they look at usage by owners so as not to miss what's going on with low ownership weapons. Weapon effectiveness, example, kills per time equipped, win rate with the weapon equipped, and so forth. They look at design analysis of the implementation of a weapon, looking through weapon perks and other data to see if something is obviously wrong. Once they've pulled together a list of weapons, they'll go through them and identify what's contributing to issues. In some cases, it's innate to the weapon itself and they'll adjust it, but in other cases, it's a specific perk combo, the overall weapon type rather than a single weapon or a lack of competition, and they can address the issue without touching the weapon in question. They also answer yes, some of the logic for Which weapons get attention changes depending on the focus of the season. If we have high representation of a weapon type in a seasonal artifact, we're shipping several new or reprised weapons of that specific type, or encounters that play well with the specific weapon types. They'll also dig into the matching weapons to make sure they perform well with the seasonal focus from other teams. For example, in the past, we've had seasons that revolved around high-density, close-range encounters with matching artifact unlocks and revisited the tuning of submachine guns and grenade launchers. Another hot-button topic in the community is the nerf that was recently done for Stompies. In the question, can you explain the recent Stompies changes? The answer, Stompies provides a great neutral game benefit that excels in PvP and have the potential to make it very difficult to target a hunter wearing them thanks to the unique nature of the hunter jump, which allows for rapid direction changes in midair. Their goal was to make them a little less free so that the wearer can still gain the benefit, but with a small amount of downtime each time the player uses their dodge, which itself provides numerous benefits since many armor mods key off of the use of your class ability. That being said, we will continue to monitor how Stompies is performing and will make further changes. Other notes for changes that we should see coming in future seasons. In a brief recap, they talk about keeping an eye on abilities that balloon in uptime, grenades that underperform. They're also paying attention to how the current armor mod system is performing with an eye on being the foundation for your build and not the star. We have a swath of Season 22 changes that they've announced here. Strand Tangles will have a 20% decrease in cooldown time. Strand Threadlings will receive a sizable increase to damage against PvE targets. Strand Suspend will see reduced duration and uptime. Part of me wonders if we'll see that paired with a buff to stasis sometime in the future. We will also see a small set of changes to exotic weapons and armor, a nerf to Lemonarch in PvP, a buff to Touch of Malice, and legendary perks Bipod, Shoot to Loot, and Under Over getting tweaks. In changes past Season 22, we see hand cannons to get a reload speed increase of 15% at 0 stat with the benefit at 100 unchanged. PvE damage for hand cannons sees an increase of 20% for red bar rank and file, and a whopping 75% against orange bar enemies. Hand cannons will also see a new subfamily, the heavy burst hand cannons, introduced, with Warden's Law being the first of its kind, firing a 2-round burst. The team says that they are looking into kinetic weapons with a pass planned for the year of Final Shape to make them more unique. Glaives will get a tuning pass targeted at Season 23, with exotic glaives getting a touch-up due to underperformance. We'll see more hidden exotic armor and weapon interactions, as well as favoriting of shaders. Probably the most important on that entire list. Once again, for a full list of the questions, if you want to go through and read more in depth, the link will be in the show notes. They answered a ton of questions here, and I'm looking forward to seeing them be more open in this type of communication in the future. I think that this is very healthy for the community as well as for the team. Of course, you're always going to have people that grumble about changes, but I think a lot of these look very good on paper. We'll see how they are in the sandbox themselves. They also said that they will be addressing changes to abilities and sandbox and armor and exotics and everything in standalone developer insight blogs in the future, so keep an eye out for Wednesdays. I've already got us recording.
Yeah, I figured you would.
And you've done this show before, is that what you're saying?
Pretty much done, yeah.
Yeah. You've done it, yeah. Oh, you've been my friend for how long now? So
not long enough, Dan. Not long enough.
We're never gonna catch up. It's never gonna catch up to being long enough. I guess we just ripped the Band-Aid off. Rev, welcome to Destiny Digest once again in this new and improved format that we were able to figure out moments before the show.
Yes, I figured out how to show you all. I sit on the sofa all day.
So, I brought you here today. Thank you once again for popping in short notice. I've brought you here today to discuss the GMs for Season of the Deep. We have 6. Most of them are coming back. We very few surprises here. Outside of the one Psyops Battleground on the moon. First of all, what do you think of? What are your thoughts on the strikes that they have selected for this season to bring forward into that challenge?
So, I like all but the disgrace, and we haven't done the moon one yet at anything higher than plus. Was it +5?
Yeah.
On the light scale, so can't really pass any judgment on the moon battleground one, but it's going to be interesting because the light suppressor guy, he spawns quite early on in the fight, and you can't segregate him, unlike you could do on Mars.
Oh yeah. He starts singing very early, and he's right in line up to the bunker. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so it's going to be interesting how teams are going to handle him, because you really don't want to have your abilities taken away in a GM.
Right.
But I like the fact that Light Blade's back. That's actually one of my favorites, because I think that is the standard that GM should be held to.
That one was giving us a pain in the ass yesterday when we were rocking it. Like, I don't know if it was like team makeup. I think I was trying to rock a hunter build, like a void hunter build, when I should have probably been rocking like a stasis warlock to help lock down sections of that thing better. But
so yeah, stasis. So for Lightblade in particular, then might as well jump down that one. Since I'm on my hunter, I could show you what I ran actually.
Yeah,
it was this, but I ran Arc Staff instead.
Okay.
Reason being, as a oh shit, I need to live button, just in case. Like Gathering Storm, like if you're confident in everything, cool. But if you just want to get it done safely on Arc Hunter, Dark Stuff. But
they recently buffed that this season, right? Like that was one of the big things that they pushed forward before the season started. How are you liking that?
Yes, it's definitely noticeable. Like, even without Raiden on, I think hits quite hard, in all fairness, but you should definitely run Raiden if you want to just solely build into the Arc Staff, because Raiden plus Arc Staff at max stacks equals you can stun lock a barrier, effectively giving you pseudo anti-barrier. So that's one way to deal with them. And I used that last time it was around because it was stupidly good fun. But I go with this one because Assassin's Cow is incredibly busted. Been able to give you, I think it's 160 HP on a kill, plus combination blow starting your melee regen as well. I've been building that stack up because it's 60% per stack, and it stacks multiplicatively, which is ridiculous. Add 1-2 punch on top of an attractor cannon on top of that, and you can pretty much 2-tap everything, including a light bearer. That's why I run tractor cannon as well, because of the nerf to 1-2 punch, which hurt a lot of things. Tractor cannon is kind of a must now. Can't just bring whatever you want. Plus, it's a free 30% debuff on whatever you point at. It will take light bearers out of a super, including the boss ones in the final boss room, but it won't obviously give them the suppressed effect of them going, oh shit, where are my glasses on the floor? Like everything else it will do. But yeah, it's a fantastic tool to have. I've got the AR there just for anti-barrier purposes, just in case. But Outsiders as a whole, even as other GMs, can build their supers phenomenally fast, and not for the reason you think. Hands-on is good, obviously, because you have one of the most powerful melees in the game, but then you have Dynamite. Each time I dodge, and then when I'm near enemies, I get a bit of super energy. Now, this combo was shown to me via the wonderful Time on Twitter.
Yeah.
He showed it just before a update a couple of weeks ago. Distribution states it reduces all ability cooldowns when using your class ability near targets. This is currently bugged. By all abilities, prior, it only used to do class ability, melee, grenade. It now literally means all abilities, including your super. When you dodge, you see 2 bumps. You see 1 bump for the dynamite, and another bump for your distribution. So you just keep punching, dodging, punching, and dodging, and before you know it, you're on super number 3, 4 minutes in.
Oh my god.
It is a joke.
Yeah.
All right. So I use this in combination with Powerful Attraction. Literally the freest mod you could ever apply to an Arcstrider melee combo, because you don't have to worry about picking up your orbs. It also accounts for moats, by the way, in Gambit. Please use it in Gambit. It saves all the trouble in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But you pick up all the orbs around you in one fell swoop. They trigger anything you have applied for it. So I've even got recuperation on for when I can't get my melee to get the kill, but I need to get out of dodge, because when you dodge, when you're amplified on Arcstrider, you get 97 DR.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not broken enough for you, I don't know what is.
That's crazy.
And that's on my dodge so long as I'm amped. And then it's built into the Arcstrider itself. I'll just keep dodging like you are a tank. So yeah, like this is one of the most busted builds across the board.
So like, when you're obviously the artifact is pushing us to use Strand, it's pushing us to use Arc, it's pushing us to use Void. It's very clear that that's the route they want us to go. That build sounds insane. First and foremost.
Yep.
yeah. So how are you feeling? Do you feel like, if you're not running one of those 3 subclasses in this season, do you feel like you're not letting down the team, but like maybe at a disadvantage using another class?
Sort of. So it depends really on what you want to build into when it comes to the other elements. Like Stasis at the moment, you've got Bacchus giving you 25% damage increase for Arc and Stasis weapons, because they changed it. It's a nice little change, to be honest, because before it was a little bit finicky and hard to understand. It was 10% on 2 different buffs, one on the slow target, one on the arc weapon you use. Stack them together, you got 22%. But now it's 25%. You don't need to affect the target with stasis. You just need to dodge, and then you get that 10 seconds of the 25% for your stasis or your arc weapons now. Okay. So that's a good change for it, but stasis as a whole needs love. Yeah. Like, this was the benchmark which they set out for 3.0. But able to do your aspects and have some rather defining attributes that are class specific, and then you have your overall fragments, which any class can use, but some lean toward towards other classes versus others. So now we all have the 3.0s. Stasis has been left behind. So even if we had stuff on the artifact that buffs stasis, it wouldn't be as powerful as what it needs to be up to parity with the other subclasses. Strand does what stasis can, and more lethal, and faster. So there's no point. Why should I freeze a target when I can suspend them?
Yeah, keep it up in the air and then dish out damage that way.
It's the same thing, and it lasts longer. I don't need to do anything about it. It's ridiculous. And Titans get that literally on call or on speed dial every time if you build it right. But freezing a target now, what's the point? I don't need to. For solar though, if you want to go for the solar route, there are some very powerful builds out there that don't need the help of the artifact. Kind of like the Arcstrider one prior to this season, like. The only thing that makes the build stupider is Shock and Awe, in my opinion. As well as Electric Armor. Electric Armor, for those that don't know, is a 30% damage reduction. It just doubles the DR you get automatically when you're amped and when you're sprinting. So these two combined, it's just free. It's a joke. So otherwise, I would recommend Young Ankara Spine. Celestial Nighthawk now Gunslinger got 20%. Or you could go just for the Hunter Agnostic one. So scales. Just stick them on. Just please don't use them with Tether. Please don't use them with Tether. Unless it's Mobius Quiver. Swear to God, if it's a Deadfall one, I'm having you.
So,
All right.
like, so this conversation has mostly been like fairly hunter heavy. So if somebody is wanting to do, if somebody's running like Titan or Warlock, what are like two builds for either of the two that you're finding are useful or will be more useful for this set of GMs this season?
So, literally, Sunbreaker, Synthoseps.
Okay,
That is it.
that's it.
This is why. So, is it powerful? Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. It's boring to me because it's that easy to do. There's no build crafting involved in that. It is. I need mini hammer, and I need Synthoseps.
I need punch hard, and I need mini hammer.
Yeah, and so that's why I don't like making builds for time because it's so hard to do. You either have to completely gut yourself and lock yourself into one tiny thing, or I just put on the best exotic for it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter which element you're on either. Like you could use it on Berserker with the new Flechette Storm, which I have, and it's stupidly good fun.
Yeah.
Like just being able to dish out with all your melee charges, 5 shotgun blasts effectively with Synthos procs is stupid. And I want to do it more.
Yeah.
Like, this is that's why I wanted to make a build of point contact cannon base because it's a little different. Is what's Insurmountable Skullfort better? Yes, because it gives you the melee back. It just needs to kill one thing, and it gives me all my health as well. But point contact, is it extra steps? Absolutely, I understand that. But I still get knockout. I still get my knockout, which means I still get my health regen.
Yeah.
I still get melee energy back because that's how it's meant to work. But it's melee energy. It's not melee back.
Right.
Like Insurmountable does. So that's why you have to build into it. So am I jumping through too many hoops for it? Yes. But I'm having fun with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not using Synthoseps. But for real, just for GMs as a whole, like either use Berserker with suspended legs, the Aberrant Leap, or just go Bonk Hammer with Sunbreaker. Now, I know some people are going to put merit into Behemoth. There is some merit into that. I personally do not like Behemoth, not because it is featured in some of these top DPS video. No, not definitely not that at all.
I saw Haterade,
it's
like, what was it? Haterade, like two-phased Riven with...
Yeah, him and Bergen. Yeah, I still have them blocked to this day. Screw those two geezers. But no, it's because to me, I've had bad experiences with Behemoth users because they just keep spamming eyes everywhere, blocking my damn shots on the champion, which is almost dead. Hate that. Like, if you're gonna use Behemoth, just be careful where you put your damn ice.
I remember Hater throwing cases around Tidley when we played King's Fall one time.
Oh man!
What about for Warlock?
For Warlock,
we talked about Stasis Warlock, like, and with the Osmiomancy, like that's good for still locking down rooms if you're a little trepidatious, running full in.
Yeah, like with the right build, you can get out up to 4 Bleak Watchers. Like if you've got your stacks up for your kickstarts and so on and so forth. It was easier last season because I could have a 3rd one in there. As you saw me just take it off. Like I could drop it down to tier 7 recap, but I like having tier 8. So you might not be able to get the 4th one out, but definitely can still consistently get 3 out if need be. And then what a lot of people will tend to do with the Winter's Wrath Super is they will then start roaming around and start poking the stick at things and then snapping them out with the pulse.
Yeah.
Whereas I just prefer to let the Bleak Watchers freeze everything around me, pop it whilst in hard cover, and just continually do the pulse.
Yeah. Oh,
because
the Bleak since the Bleak Watchers are freezing everything, you don't need to
I don't need to go
poking
anywhere
them at all. You could just pop.
No.
And it'll.
I pop in hard cover. I never peek unless I need to absolutely freeze something myself.
Right.
And I let the turrets and ice flare bolts do all the work for me. And also, whilst I'm in Super, if I happen to get a Bleak Watcher back, I can still throw it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just limited just because I'm in the super. I can still do a cold snap. So the blast radius on the pulse is massive. Take advantage of it. Stay in cover and just keep pulsing because it doesn't use any energy to do that. You can sit there just doing the pulse the entire time, and on red bars as well. Unfortunately, not majors, but on red bars, it stun locks them. So if someone's getting harassed and you can do your pulse repeatedly just to stun lock them, do it. It's probably going to save their life. For the obvious, you can still use Starfire Protocol.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it is not completely dead. It just shifted focus on how you use it. So, as we know, like dealing damage within it, it now deals. What was it? I think it was. Was it 5%? I think it was 5% energy. Back as a return per 0.7 tick. Meaning, in an entire well, you're probably getting 3 grenades out, which is fine.
Right.
However, if you kill whilst inside, whilst your weapons are empowered, if you kill something with your empowered weapon, you still gain the 20% back. It's now just evolved into more of a really aggressive ad clearing exotic. So use it that way instead. Like it already did chunks to ads anyway. Like there's no shot you're using Starfire without Touch of Flame. There's no shot. So just keep doing that and just keep finishing off it. If anything's left standing, because it is a GM, who knows? Something might still be standing after a fusion nade. Just finish off with your weapon instead of a grenade, and you'll get it back faster, just as fast as it was pre-nerf. It just requires you to do the kill itself. So still use Starfire, still a solid option. If you want a, I don't care what element I use one, Verity's Brow. Verity's Brow is always a solid one. It is a little tough to gain your stacks outside of just spamming your heavy weapon. But if that's what you prefer to do, by all means, go to town, because you can turn vortex nades or fusion nades into absolute nukes with it. It's a joke. So the one I'll be running on. Go on.
So we've been talking about like our abilities, and in conversations that I've had not only with you but like also with Hater and Rin Vixen in the past, our abilities are really powerful, really and kind of like the core of what our of what a lot of these builds are set at. What weapons would you be bringing in this season to GMs? Are you looking more close range? Are you looking to play a little bit further back?
See, I'm rather comfortable playing up close and personal, like especially with the hunter build. So if the build demands something to help me out, like demolition or 1-2 punch, then obviously I'll fill that in and then cover the gap with a ranged option, like maybe an AR. If it's not that big of a long distance strike, like Saber, for example, an AR is quite comfortable in there. Hell, even an SMG if you really want, if you can make it anti-champion enough at the time. If it's long range, then pulses are a good shout. Scouts, I think, need just a little bit of love. Just a little bit more. I don't think the 10% was enough. Maybe an extra 5 on top would be okay. Hand cannons are in a difficult spot. Yeah. Because they can do, so they're good up close, they're good medium distance, but then so are my scouts and pulses, so are my SMGs and ARs. They're better at it, they're more forgiving than them. So why should I use them? Granted, we have unstoppable hand cannon this season. One of my favorite ones to use that with is Hawkmoon, but that's an exotic. Like power causal shot is bonkers when it comes to an unstoppable champ. Takes a third off every time. But I want to use a hand cannon. If they're just not in the right spot. Yeah. And please don't use a sidearm.
But Michael's.
Please don't use.
Michael's is right there.
I don't care. Please stop using a sidearm. Look, if you like your 16-meter range engagement, that's perfectly fine. Everything else can hit you for 40 plus. Put the pea shooter away. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, in terms of special weapons, wave frames are stupid. You should be using wave frames in any endgame content because they offer all the damage of a breach load GL with zero downside.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, one minor downside. I can't airburst it. So what? It goes underneath cover and everything. Just fire your shots. Slugs are also really good as well. Having that precision damage on targets is kind of nice. Snipers aren't where they need to be in the end game. Yes, for fun. Yes, for outliers. Those outliers are called exotics, so we don't count them. But you only really see snipers in like a DPS rotation. I want to see a sniper be useful against single targets by itself, like what it's meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
No, I've got a god roll succession, which I've crafted just for DPS.
Right.
And that's it. This role can carry itself in GMs because all I need to do is land 2 shots for Focus Fear, so 20% buff. But I need that 20% buff for it to be a viable choice.
Right.
I would like to see snipers be a viable choice before damage buffs.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a nice change, in my opinion. It won't put them back into the meta. Like, I'm not going to be sitting at the back happy as Larry with an icebreaker like you would have been in D1, but it's not that far off being where they could be. And please move Darcy to the special slot. Please move Darcy to the special slot.
So,
bro,
what are you using for like your heavy slot? Are you prioritizing like rockets over linears for these GMs, or
this thing here is your best friend?
Leviathan's Breath?
Leviathan's Breath is pretty much your best friend going forward. LMGs are a very solid pick now. The damage increase they got, the ammo capacity they got for the reserves was really nice. Definitely use them, but they're not to be laughed at anymore, to be honest. GLs are a solid pick for Personnel Champ if it has explosive light. Please note what I said if it has explosive light.
Yeah.
Linears are definitely a solid pick, especially ones with perks you can have up all the time, like Frenzy here.
Yeah.
LFRs are still good. They're just not the I'm just gonna win with this weapon.
Yeah. That's how they felt. That's how they felt, at least like in Ghost of the Deep as well. Like like when we were running it the other week, the 3 burst LFR from Root, the I'm looking it up. Yeah, Briar's Contempt. I was finding that was doing quite a bit of damage.
Yes, that one in particular,
because of the harmonic.
Due to harmonic, and also if you're especially goated, if you get it with surrounded, that would be kind of pog. Because this, if people don't know, is a 40% damage increase, enhanced. 40%. This is why people are saying this one is one of the best weapons for the solo. Harmonic resonance plus surrounded. It's stupid.
Yeah.
I know I started to craft one.
As I'm starting to think more and more about like because I'm eventually going to solo this dungeon, right? Like as I think more and more about it, I'm trying to think of like what brings consistency and what brings the maximum amount of ammo to the entire affair. And while when I was playing GMs last night, is like kind of to, I guess that's like a pretty good indicator of what it's like solo. Am I not far off the mark with that statement?
Actually pretty close to it, yeah.
Yeah. So like I figured run double special and then something that gives you more ammo than what a rocket would. Because while rockets are powerful, lead from gold.
So yeah, that is one of the best perks ever in the game, period. For solo, I run Leviathan's Breath or Lament. Leviathan's Breath with the Catalyst does not need any reserve perks. it's at its max with the catalyst complete.
Mm-hmm.
Lament, because anti-barrier, you live, so on and so forth. It's just a very easy weapon to use. If you, what class you plan to run it on?
So I'm thinking I'm going to run on my hunter for Ghost of the Deep, but when that could easily change. I could find myself changing over to like a Solar Titan.
Okay, so for Hunter and Titan, you just do 3 light attacks, like revved up, and then you're heavy, because you need to live. If you were going on Warlock, you could just sit in your well and just do all 5 of them heavy.
Right.
For like your specials, Lead from Gold in terms of a perk is goated. Like the amount of heavy you are going to be spewing is ridiculous. Always have your special weapons in your hand as you're going around killing, because then heavy ammo is 15 times more likely to drop.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a joke. You get the equivalent of a finder book from it, but it won't matter because there's 17 books of heavy on the floor. Like, and especially if you're running a sword, just if you really need some special ammo, just do a light attack as you go over and you'll pick it up. Like when I was doing my side of Flawless, I started seeing all the purple books as green books, to be honest, because it didn't matter how much heavy I had on the floor, but I needed to keep my special weapons topped up, and they both had Lead from Gold. So I just started swinging my sword instead, picking up ammo the entire time.
Yeah, who was that? Who was it that posted the numbers earlier this season about kind of confirming the double special drops heavy more consistently?
That would be the wonderful Mossy Max.
Mossy Max. Thank you, Mossy Max.
Mossy Max. That man has been a godsend to the community recently because, as you know, Kat, who runs DT Foundry, all of that PvE data is mostly thanks to him.
Ooh, okay.
He calculated every single power delta, how much of a percentage effect it has on you versus target with what weapon and everything. And so now that's why when you go to Foundry, you can select, I want to use Insidious with Rampage ×3, with Rapid Hit ×5 against a major enemy in a GM. And it's going to tell you exactly what you are going to hit before you even set foot in it.
Heck yeah.
It's crazy. So he did a solid test of, I think it was 1,050 grenade kills, holding out special and then heavy. Whilst heavy did drop more than it should have done, just using abilities whilst holding his heavy out with 2 specials in stowed, holding out your special yielded way more heavy than necessary. So that's why Lead from Gold is an S tier perk for it.
Heck yeah, it seems like I'm going to need to start grinding that up instead of playing so much Diablo.
No, play Diablo, it's fine.
Oh, okay. So on top of all this, so we have the Devil's Lair, we have the Corrupted, we have the Disgrace, we have Lightblade, we have Fallen Saber, all of those coming through. Psyops Battleground obviously being the new kid on the block when it comes to GMs. The Psyops are the Lucent Hive ones, right?
Yes.
Yes.
In which case, actually, no. But no.
Yeah, we wouldn't have a singer. We wouldn't have a singer.
No, we wouldn't have a singer. We'd actually have some buddies in it. They're gonna fall over so quick. You probably wouldn't even see him. Oh dear.
That final room probably poses like a little bit more of a challenge, right? Because if I'm correct, that is the Titan.
Yeah, it's the Titan, and also, right, no, it's not. It's the Wizard.
Oh, it's the Wizard. Okay.
Yeah, it's the Wizard, but it's the middle room where you have to dunk 12 deposits.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's gonna be hell because there's hunters in there. There's hunters in that one. Oh lord.
Yeah. So maybe having a stasis warlock wouldn't be such a bad idea in that section.
So my ideal comp for it would be a stasis warlock, a arc or well-lock, and an arc hunter with 1-2 punch build and tractor cannon. purely just to be on anti-light bearer duty. Like, be able to knock them out of the most powerful form is a godsend. Like, you should be doing that if you can.
Tractor cannon.
Terror, T-cannon. Terror, Deadfall with rigs would be a solid pick, especially in mid-room. Arc Lock, I would go with Tickle Fingers, because especially if you use Crown, because of how much, how many ads are going to be spawning. You should have no problem maintaining high stacks. Especially once you're in your super. Chaos Reach would be fun, but it won't help with the ad control as much as you'd think it would.
Yeah.
And a well log just purely for, oh fuck, we need easy mode real quick.
Right.
Failing that, Strand Hunter, Strand Titan would be good. Strand Hunter purely because the super is the best in the game. It is ridiculously high damage for what it's worth, but you are very squishy.
Yeah.
So
glass cannon.
Careful of that. You're definitely a glass cannon with it. One weapon I would encourage people to not overlook is the Navigator.
Okay.
If you have it.
How so?
Being able to give your friends and yourself 60% DR on demand is a joke. You either have a sustained effect on target, and you can get it yourself just by shooting targets, or you just tickle your friend with it, and you both get it. If you don't need the catalyst just allows you to deploy a grapple point. Like, this thing is stupid. Yeah. And Sever, by the way, decreases how much damage the target does back. So you give yourself 60% DR. I don't know how much Sever does in terms of damage reduction, but I believe, if I'm right, Overload is a 25% damage reduction, or 20%, it's one of the two, that they shoot at you with. So if it's on par with that, that's stupid. And if you happen to go on Strand and you happen to use grapples, you have a free grapple tangle whenever you like. It costs you 1 energy. We're going to call this thing, call the ammo for this. It costs you 1 just to send it out when you get freebie.
Man, trace trace rifles. Yeah, trace rifles are so fucking cool.
Yeah, like, so especially the 2 top slots one, like Aegon Scepter.
Yeah,
is my favorite trace rifle.
Yeah, is it still as good this season as it was last season?
100%. Okay. No, Aegis has never had a problem being stasis.
Yeah,
stasis has a problem being stasis, though.
Right.
But Aegis just does exactly what it says on the tin. Like, it will immobilize targets, and then you can channel it into mini Chaos Reach and utterly decimate the entire room. Being able to free stuff that quickly is fantastic. Navigator is just good because of the team play it has, being able to give out Woven Mail. If Woven Mail wasn't as strong, this probably wouldn't be as high up on many people's lists. But because Woven Mail is 60% damage reduction, you've probably seen Sort of Grappo and have a couple of tweets like saying it needs to have Icon. Yeah, I agree. Especially now this is out.
Yeah,
it's comical, especially for the next day one. If they don't do anything with Woven Mail and your team's not bringing one of these or a couple of these, you're throwing.
Yeah. So it's become an almost necessary part of in-game recipe.
Yeah, and it's just purely for the Woven Mail aspect. Like, I don't care about it can sever targets. I don't care it can do a grapple tangle. It gives me Woven Mail.
Yeah, Woven Mail.
Yeah, if Woven Mail was ever addressed, this would lose potency in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very silly and very powerful. All you have to do is just tickle your friend for like 5-6 ammo, and you get the 5 ammo back, and you're both out for 10 seconds. Like, it's a joke. it's such a joke.
Kind of coming to the end of this conversation. Thank you once again for being on the show, by the way.
My pleasure.
What weapons and roles should people be hunting for from the pool this season when it comes to GMs?
I'm only really gonna go over the new ones that we got.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go to
Yeah, we kind of like. I think everybody and their cousin has a hung jury now that they like.
And I should hope so. There was four in the entire game.
Oh, dude, I was cleaning out my vault the other day, and I was using the new parameters from Destiny Recipes. Which, if you're not using Destiny Recipes, use it. It's pretty great. But I was using the new parameters from Destiny Recipes in the vault cleaner, and I saw how many hung juries I had in my vault just taking up space. I was like, oh, there's at least like 25 here that I need to sort through. And then I was like, oh, am I deleting the right one? Wait, hold on. Maybe I'm not deleting. Had to sift through like 4 different rows in order to like go through. But continue. Sorry for the subject.
It's good. So I'm looking at loaded question now on D2 Foundry. So for those who just want a nice little reminder, it is a high impact frame, so 960 charge. It means it has 5 bolts per burst, 5 in a mag by default. I would go for, you can have the old classic of auto-loading holster and reservoir burst, what it was originally known for. My pick would be overflow or demolitionist. I'll take that as the second one. And controlled burst or reservoir burst.
Right.
Controlled burst, if you don't know, is scoring a hit with every bolt in the burst gives you 20% damage increase and a 10% charge time decrease for 2 seconds. As I just said at the start, this thing fires 5 bolts. Please struggle to miss the 5 bolts. I dare you. It's so free. That is a free 20% damage increase every burst, and then it gets faster because of the result.
Okay, so in the first
so third column, I'd have overflow or demolitionist.
Okay.
On fourth column, I would have either reservoir burst or controlled burst. You can't make an argument for frenzy. Frenzy is just a solid pick overall. You can never go wrong with frenzy. So if that's what you prefer, go nuts. Also, loading holster is an option. You do have Envious Assassin if you're mopping up stuff. Bear in mind, this talk at the moment is about GMs, so for GMs, I would not rate it. What's the other weapon? Osprey. Osprey. So, I don't rate this weapon at all. Reason being is it doesn't have anything that stands out to me that we don't already have. Granted, we have cluster bombs in the third column, which, to my knowledge, is a rare sight. Cluster bombs can help you with damage, but I think people often forget they got absolutely gutted ages ago and were never brought back up to parity. So you could, the unique role that I would, if you really want one, it would be cluster bombs and lasting impression. The reason why is
well, I'm already seeing what it does to the blast radius with those traits active.
That's lasting impression. That's what that does. But the it does kind of counteract cluster bombs though. Cluster bombs benefit from a smaller blast radius, but it is what it is. The reason why you would want to have a look at this role is because of Yellowhorn. Yellowhorn is is still a joke because of what it now does to the legendary rocket launcher. Yes, it is a support weapon. It's doing exactly what it does as it says on the tin. But then we have all these legendary rocket launchers like Apex Predator, the Hothead, and Cold Comfort, which will have fantastic damage options which benefit from Hothead, apart from Explosive Light, which it does not. Bait and Switch, though, does. All the Wolfpack rounds from a Bait and Switch rocket are buffed by Bait and Switch and the Wolfpack itself. It's what makes it so egregious. But the Osprey with Lasting Impression and Cluster Bomb. Lasting Impression because it's the best damage option overall.
Right.
It does a 25% explosive damage increase, which is 20% total damage overall. So you got the cluster bombs coming out, you've got the warpath rounds coming out, and you got the Lasting Impression. Like, just a lot of explosions happening on your screen at once.
Yeah, and it's a support option rather than something that's good right out the box.
Yeah, exactly. If you really, really want one of these, then that would be the role I would go for. If you are happy just to get one, I'm going to make the very controversial pick of Bipod. You might be asking why. The reason being is because of ammo fuckery. So, Bipod, as a reminder, so it doubles the magazine. Total reserve size is increased by 5. Everything else about the perk, I don't care. It's only that part. Mm-hmm. So what that means is it's the reserve action, so how many rockets you hold total. And some research was done with enhanced bipod on Apex Predator. If you rally with reserve perks for your heavy with bipod, and then swap to the weapon, like if you, for whatever need to, in a pinch, like you're trying to run around pick up heavy ammo off the ground mid-fight, and you find the time to swap back to the heavy weapon, you are going to have full ammo on the weapon you swap back to. Bipod is silly in that regard, and that's the only reason why I would have it.
Mm-hmm.
That very specific instance. So if I happen to get one, that's the only reason why I'm keeping it until they buff it. Please buff Bipod. It could be good. Like, they hyped it up so much, and it's such a letdown.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man. Anyway. Yeah. Those will be the ones I'll be picking up from the new guns. I don't think they've added anything new to anything else. Like Swarm, for example.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. Everything's a bit mid.
Well, I think you're also speaking from a position of, and something that I have to remind myself of. We're also speaking from a position of, like, we've run these, we've gotten these weapons over and over again, especially like the adept versions.
Yeah.
And so, like, not everybody has every tool at their disposal, but we've been playing this for quite some time.
This is obviously a different tangent, but Loaded Question in particular coming back, especially with this old role of auto-loading holster and Reservoir Burst.
Yeah,
is, to me, whilst we haven't paid for it, it shouldn't be happening. It never needed to be sunset, and you're just bringing it back with fancy rolls on top, like Control Burst, which is what you should be going for. But Loaded Question didn't do anything wrong, man. Why?
Yeah. I think it was a victim of being called the pinnacle weapon at the time.
Yeah, as I said, it's down a different avenue, which we won't go down on. We'll be here for hours, Dad.
Yeah.
I could talk for hours on this subject, end. Oh man. But yeah, no. In strictly GM terms, like if you really want to hunt down a weapon, Loaded Question would be the one I would go for. Overflow with Reservoir or Patrol Burst is the one I'm gunning for personally. I will take Demolition as a alternative option to Overflow. But yeah, especially look out for Lego the Flash on this one when when he eventually gets around to doing the video on it. This gun is probably going to do some incredible things, considering it has firmly planted under pressure in the 3rd column, and I have the Storm and Harmony and Controlled Burst in the 4th column. It's only got 5 bolts. I think it needs all 5 to kill, but if you land all 5 bolts, you then have 20% damage increase for the next kill. Firmly planted is completely broken on snipers with fusion rifles. So is under pressure in PvP. Like, it just watch out for it. It's probably going to be one of the mini terrors of this season.
Yeah, I was just about to say, watch out for Lego Flash to, like, post one of his most beautiful videos ever surrounding this one. Well, Rev, thank you so much for joining me today. And once again, it's been a pleasure having you. And thank you once again for coming on such short notice. Where can people find you on the internet, good sir?
You normally find me on Twitter 1v1ing people over opinions because, it's a healthy lifestyle I have. Yeah, if you would like to follow me, I'm just getting my out because I can't remember off the top of my head. It's that capital R Revenant 533. I will sometimes post builds. You will find me just shit posting most of the time. Take it as you will. Yeah.
My name's Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and the TikTok at Danfinity, where the eyes are L's. You can also find me on Twitch 3 days a week, helping out Guardians with in-game activities in Destiny 2. If you want to support the show, please remember to rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. Anything you say helps us in the algorithm. If you want to help monetarily, you can head on over to Twitch, Discord, Coffee.com. Any of those help support the show monetarily and keep the lights on. Once again, all the links are in the notes for the show. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.